Welcome to the video, guys. Now I'm sure a lot of you will remember when the government spent £4 billion on no-deal Brexit planning. This was reported by the BBC, ITV, Channel 4, every media organisation that you know, bemoaning as they always did, and practically still do now, saying how it was a waste of money and this shouldn't have been done, they should have just focused on getting a deal. Which of course Boris Johnson did also, once again making their claims and bemoaning the complete opposite of what actually happened. You know, this has been a common thing with the bemoaning media and politicians for a few years now, if not more. Now, as you will all know, the current media cycle is exclusively taken up with the human malware situation that is going on, which has spread around the world. Now, obviously, I ain't a doctor or a scientist with any sort of knowledge on the human malware situation, so I've kind of avoided talking about it. But it seems The Guardian this morning threw out an opinion piece that Brexit is threatening the UK's ability to deal with the human malware situation. Now, of course, being from The Guardian, you know it's just an opinion piece. They don't pump out news, they pump out opinions. But essentially, because we've decided to leave the European Medicines Agency, this could mean we won't be able to fight pandemics in the future. Which is nonsense considering plenty of other countries around the world develop these sorts of drugs, including ourselves. We already dealt with this nonsense in relation to Brexit when they said we won't be able to get the drugs in, which was of course completely rubbished because we could just buy them from the EU even in the event of a no-deal Brexit. With the Guardian's article essentially pushing for the government to move to closer alignment, so essentially keeping us in the EU. Which the Lib Dems were raked over the coals for just the other day. I didn't cover the story at the time, but the Lib Dems said we should cancel Brexit because of the human malware situation, which is absolute nonsense and something the government just can't do, much like extending the transition period. Well, to counter that, earlier this morning we had an article from the Huff Post, which headlines how no-deal Brexit planning is helping the UK deal with human malware. Government sources tell HuffPost UK some of the $4 billion worth of crisis planning means the UK is accidentally better prepared for human malware. When the government spent £4 billion on planning for a no-deal Brexit that looked a remote possibility with Parliament ranged decisively against it, many said it was a waste of money. But Britain is already benefiting from at least some of the work that took place in the run-up to the two aborted exit days of March 29th and October the 31st during the Brexit chaos of 2019, which I'm sure this article will send many Ramonas into fits of rage. Get ready for the salt mining. As human malware grips the nation, government sources have revealed that in key areas the intensive contingency planning ordered by Boris Johnson is proving one of the most useful things we have done in the last 6 to 9 months. Oh, get wrecked Ramonas. Look at that, the money spent is actually being used for something. And in some cases, businesses stockpiling for Brexit or a possible no-deal Brexit has meant more on the shelves, which unfortunately imbeciles have been mass buying things like toilet rolls because of human malware must make you shit yourself. I don't know, but welcome to the world we live in. Much of the key work has taken place inside the Department for Health and Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, two branches of Whitehall that are most affected by both Brexit and human malware. Meanwhile, across government, officials who have built up crisis and contingency expertise working on no-deal planning have been immediately retasked with human malware work. Cabinet Secretary Mark Sedwell also revealed this week that some of the 800 former employees of the Department for Exiting the European Union staff have been working on human malware. And here we have a quote, "It's made a massive difference and it's really enhanced our preparations and response this time." Oh, So where are the Ramonas at now then? I bet we won't hear an apology from any of them. They'll just run along with their boomer remover hashtag that was trending the other day on Twitter. Absolute bunch of disgraces. While many countries in Europe have gone into lockdown and the US has banned flights from the continent, there has been little discussion of potential medicine shortages in the UK. And just this morning, Matt Hancock said, if companies produce ventilators, we will buy them. No number is too high. So, at least on that side of things, the government, on the face of it, appears to be doing something good. As to the rest of it, who knows? Like I said, I'm no doctor or scientist. I know probably as much as you guys do, maybe even less. According to one Whitehall source, this is partly because the DFH has been through a process of working out how to deal with medicine supply being choked off due to Brexit-related border disruption. That we already know won't happen, as I've said in multiple videos, and so did the Chief of Dover. Once again, that was just mainstream media scaremongering. No deal planning has probably been one of the most useful things we have done on this in the last 6 to 9 months, they said. On things like medical supplies, you go through a whole process working out what the supply chains are, working out what your pressure points are. So in DFH, we know all about every medicine that comes into the country. We know what country it comes from, we know where it's made, how it moves through the supply chain, which is something the Ramonas didn't want them to do. But it seems it's a good thing that they have done it. At least in one sense of the word, talking about medicine. It actually meant we've had total global shutdown, and broadly, you haven't seen things like medicine stores run out. And it's in part helped by the fact we've got much more of a grip and a handle on the medicine supply chain and where we get pharmaceuticals from. If exports from a certain country stop, because of the work we have done, we can kick off work really quickly on finding alternatives or generics. It made a massive difference, and it's really enhanced our preparations and response this time. So, once again, Brexit seems to have helped the situation now that we find ourselves in relating to the human malware. Pharmaceutical companies were also asked to maintain their no-deal stockpiles of medicine and medical equipment, perhaps with one eye on the end of the transition period on December 31st, where an effective no-deal Brexit is possible if the UK and EU fail to strike a trade deal, which I've covered a couple of times, and is more possible than it was at the election, that is for sure, though still I think very unlikely. We have loads of stockpiles from no-deal planning, the source said. We told pharmaceuticals not to run them down in case they were needed. Now we'll move on to the food and obviously panic buying. Panic buying has been one of the most striking changes in behaviour wrought in the early stages of the human malware. But supermarkets have been clear there is no need for individuals to stockpile, as they will be able to maintain supplies even as countries like Italy and Ireland lock down. But yeah, even some of those lockdown claims are kind of disingenuous. Take Spain's for instance, who said they are locking down, yet they still expect people to go to work, go to the banks, while going round and looking after their elderly relatives and children. So, hardly a lockdown if you ask me. Part of this is due to the work done during 2019 to ensure supply chains could stand up to a no-deal Brexit amid warnings of tomato shortages and Britons being forced to eat Christmas dinners in autumn, a DEFRA source said. That was never going to happen. We was never going to be eating Christmas dinners in autumn. That's just ridiculous. In terms of the resilience in their supply chains, supermarkets are very much prepared for everything that's going to come ahead due to all the no-deal prep that was in motion, they said, as I pointed out earlier in this video. And here we get back to old Operation Yellow Snow look. As part of the Operation Yellow Snow no-deal crisis planning, DEFRA is also understood to have done detailed research into consumer behaviour and is helping retailers like supermarkets with their messaging and response as people panic buy and photos of empty shelves go viral online. And here we hear what Whitehall is doing, which, to be honest, I don't really care about. We know what snivelling shitweasels the civil service are, for the most part. There might be a couple of good ones in there, but generally, bunch of snivelling shitweasels, I think you will all agree. But essentially, it is just saying the same thing. Preparing for Operation Yellow Snow has helped them out. And to finish it up, they just talk about diverting attention and resources from no-deal planning with human malware could harm UK preparations for new border checks and other disruption caused when the Brexit transition period ends on December the 31st. And while it might, I really don't think it will. This government is not exactly afraid to spend a bit of money, is it? We did see the budget recently, and it was a bit free-flowing with the cash, if I'm honest. But the situation, I expect, has changed for the government due to the human malware situation over the last few weeks, so they likely had no real choice. So, as I said, I really can't see them worrying too much about having to spend another couple of billion, if necessary, to make sure we're ready for a no-deal Brexit at the end of December. Because leaving then is vital to Boris Johnson's legacy and hopes of being re-elected in a few years' time, that is for sure. Now before I go, I've started doing live streams and uploading gaming content on my second channel. If you would like to come and join me for a live stream to chat in real time, have an interest in gaming related content on YouTube, or just want to follow me over there because you are a legend, the link will be down in the video description below and as a pinned comment. I hope to see you all there. Now as always, before I go, I want to thank our PayPal, Patreon, Subscribestar and YouTube members for supporting the channel, along with everyone who watches my videos. Remember to let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Leave a like, subscribe with the notification bell and share this video as it helps the channel a lot. And I will see you all in the next one.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors. Slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires. And that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going and we are glad to be going. We're off.